Hi and welcome to another brilliant student survival study skills session. Today we're looking at citing and referencing APA style. If you've done APA before, what we're going to do is introduce the new rules that APA brought in. So hopefully it will make you a little bit easier now. I'll fill you in on these as we go along, and if you've never cited before, then it doesn't matter because it'll all be new to you. APA is very similar to all the other styles of referencing and citing, but we are only going to cover a part of it because there are so many rules. As an exercise, what I would like you to do, after I've finished this question, I want you to stop the video. I'll leave it for a couple of seconds so you can stop it. And I want you to make a list of as many different things that you can think of that might need a citation. Okay, so stop the video now. No, stop it. Stop it. Good, thanks for listening to me. What kind of things do we cite? If you've made a list, let's have a look at them. All right, let's see. Books, newspapers and magazines, TV shows, paintings, photos, websites, comics. In fact, everything that is not your original work or idea. Why do we cite? What I want you to do here is stop the video again and have another think about the reasons that we might cite. Did you stop the video? Stop it now. Okay, the reasons that we cite are to give the original writer the credit that they deserve. If they've written it, then, why don't we give them the credit? To show that we have properly researched the subject so that your teacher can check as well, all right? Essentially, what these things do is it's a reference list for us. So if we have a look at your work and we know the piece and we think, hang on a minute, I don't remember them saying that, then we go to your reference and we can go to the page and see if you're right or if we're right. It's also to ensure that you do not get nicked for plagiarizing, which is nicking someone else's work and passing it off as your own. Don't do that ever. Right, the most common things that we acknowledge when we cite are direct quotes, when we paraphrase something, so that's when we put something into our own words, when we summarize, graphs and images too. Right, now we get to the nitty-gritty. How do we reference? Okay, methods of referencing to a source within an essay, thesis or assignment. Right. The rabbit's ears, the little speech marks, we use those now. We use those when it's a direct speech, when we're lifting it word for word from the text, so that when you look at the book or the report or whatever it is you've taken it from, when we look at that on your paper, it's exactly the same word for word. We can see here, Pacino 2011 states, the FA Cup final saw all four of us brothers at Wembley, and as usual, I cried at the poignant bit, the national anthem. Okay, and you can see that we've got there the quotation marks, and after that we've got the brackets, the P, the full stop, then the space, then the page 102, and then the end, the brackets, and then the full stop again. So the reference would be, as you can see in the at the bottom here, what you'll notice here is that there is no longer a location for the publisher. That's one of the changes that APA brought in. So if you've done it before and you used to have the location, there's no need for that anymore. What you can see here is another part of my book. I'm using mine, why not? Because it's my book. According to Pacino 2011, he, rabbit's ears, received quite a few letters addressed to, single rabbit's ears, the house in the car in the garden, Manchester, England, single rabbit's ears, ... I put Barton on the world map, me. Close rabbit's ears, and of course then the page number. Obviously the page number's there because we've got a full quote. Now, I mentioned the single rabbit's ears in there because this is a quote within a quote. What we've also got here is the ... It's an ellipsis. So what does that mean? Okay, what that means is there are words missing. And again, you can see here the reference is exactly the same. What is an in-text citation? It's simple. It's when we cite the author inside the text. If we look at this one, all four brothers watched the FA Cup final of 1990 and Andy cried at the national anthem, brackets, Pacino, comma, space, 2011, brackets, full stop. And the second one, Pacino stated that he and his brothers watched the FA Cup final of 1990 and he cried at the national anthem, brackets, date, brackets, full stop. Right, what's the difference there? If you look at the first one, it's not a quote, so that's why it's got no rabbit's ears. If you remember the first extract of the book, it doesn't say this. This is a paraphrase of what was in the book, and so we've just got the name and the date. And in the second one here, you notice in the brackets there's no Pacino in the brackets. That's because it's already in the text, so that we don't need it in the brackets as well. It would be too much. Right, if we're looking at short quotes with more than one author, so say for example, we look at this one here, research by Colclough and Colclough 1999 found that, or blah blah blah, Colclough and Colclough. Now you see the difference there, we've got Colclough and Colclough, and with the AND spelt out there, because that's not in the brackets, it's outside the brackets, it comes as part of the text. Whereas if we've got, or blah blah blah, Colclough and Colclough in brackets, then we've got the ampersand there. What we can see in the reference to is that we've got Colclough B and Colclough J 1999, challenge the change, Thorson's. Okay, so again, we haven't got the location on there. Location's been done away with. Long quotes. Don't use them if you don't have to. Remember to introduce or integrate quotations smoothly into the rest of your assignment. Now, if you've got a big block of quoted text, say for example you're using more than 40 words, what you need to do there is you need to indent it and reduce it by half a point. However, what I would rather see, and what many other teachers would rather see, is you paraphrasing. And what you'll also see here is the square brackets, SIC, close square brackets. What does that mean? All right, well, when you read the sentence, furthermore, the behaviours were never exhibited again, even when real drugs were administered. Now, of course, that real is misspelt, but it wasn't your misspelling, that was the author's misspelling. So the SIC means that isn't your mistake. This is how it really was. As I mentioned, there have been rule changes by APA, and here we see another one. If we're looking at one author, we've already seen mine, so we'll look at another one here, Field, 2005. Two authors, Gass and Veronis, date. Now, three or more authors, what used to happen is you would write, in the first instance, you'd write all the authors, and then after that you'd write et al. However, that's not the case anymore. From the first citation onwards, it's the author and then et al. That is if there are three or more authors. If you're citing the entire website, include the title and address within the text of the paper. And here's an example for you. The Safe Cat Foundation website includes practical information for pet owners on how to help their cats cope with relocation. So if you're relocating a cat, I made this up, by the way, it's not, well, I don't think it's a real website. Might be. And as with all websites, you cite the documents published on the internet according to specific guidelines for the type of document, right? So whether it's a journal, whether it's a book, whether it's an ebook, whatever it is. Okay, so rather than go into every single rule and make this really boring, more specific information is available for ebooks and e-journals on tons of websites. You can find them on loads and loads of different places, but Curtin University's is very good. It's color coordinated and it's really easy to get hold of and grasp. All right, what if you've got a web page with no author and you're using an in-text citation? Let's have a look at this one. The term Nittany Lion was coined by Penn State football player Joe Mason in 1904. All Things Nittany, 2006. Now, All Things Nittany is the name of the term Nittany Lion was coined by Penn State football player Joe Mason in 1904. And so the article is going to be All Things Nittany, 2006. The reference entry will be All Things Nittany 2006. The website here, so Nittany Mascot HTML. Web pages with no date. In-text citation. So here we look at, okay, blah, 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 American Psychological Association, which is APA, of course. And then ND, which means no date. And here's another change in the reference. American Psychological Association, ND, stands for no date again. Recovering emotionally from disaster. Now, we used to have a retrieve from. We don't have that anymore. So no need to retrieve from, just the website. Also, what you notice here is in the titles, we've only got the first capital letter. So recovering emotionally from disaster. This is the title here, but the capital letter is only for the first line of the title. Electronic documents, otherwise known as e-documents. Reference, obviously, the name of the author or authors. Year or date of publication, title of document. All titles are in italics. Title of the website or database. Then we've got pages, section or paragraphs if given. Then we've got the DOI, which is Digital Object Identifier. Again, if it's given, because not all of them are. Then we've got the database name, if it's appropriate. Then we've got the current internet address, if that's appropriate too. Now, the reason we use DOIs is because sometimes websites can change. So if you use the DOI, that takes you right back to exactly the source that you got it from, as long as it had a DOI at the time. Now, what does the DOI look like? You can have a look here. Down here, https://doi.org/blah blah 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 blah, and the number. Now you have these on most of the journals that you'll find. What about if we want to cite from a newspaper? All right, so have a look at this picture. What kind of information have we got here? What does it tell us? What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to stop the video again, because if you don't, then you might miss it. So stop the video now and look or write down all the information that you might need to cite and reference this article. No, I mean stop it. Stop. We've got the authors, we've got the title, subtitle there, publication, we've got the website, and we've got the date. And we've also got the updated date. Okay, another quick exercise, another newspaper. What can we see here? What have we got? Stop the clip again, write them down, see if you've remembered. Great, okay, we've got the title. Is there a subtitle there? No, there's not. Okay, so we don't need that. Then we've got the publication, we've got the author, we've got the date, we've got the website. Now, if the author's not on this, then you credit the publication, so that will be the Times. Unless, of course, you can do a little bit of research and find out who the author is. What happens if you've got no author, no date, and no title? Think about it. Why would you use something like that? Think back to why we cite. Why do we cite? One of the reasons is so that the teacher can go back and check and validate the information. Okay, what about images? What do we have to look at here with an image, with a photograph or a picture? It's the same as anything else, all right? So who's the owner? Who took it? Instead of who wrote it, who took the picture? Okay, so what date was it taken? What's the title of the photo? Has it got a subtitle? Who's the publisher? Where's the website? Now, if it's a newspaper, it's different. We'll go to that in a minute. So as we can see down here, we've got the She Amazing Team 2015, then we've got the title, and then we've got the publisher, then we've got the website. Now, this is a perfect demonstration of newspaper bias. I don't like this guy and I don't like his politics. However, what this paper have done here is look at that title, Blunders That Made Mr. Weirdo Unelectable. What's the guy doing? He's eating a sandwich. That's all he's doing. So the first word here, blunder. It's a blunder that he's eating the sandwich. Then they've called him Mr. Weirdo, and then they've said he's unelectable. This is disgraceful reporting. It's utterly biased, and it's just plain wrong. Same as we did with Puff Daddy or P. Diddy or whatever he calls himself now. Puff Lion, is it? Oh no, that's Snoop, isn't it? We cite it in the same way. So the reference is as follows. Okay, so name of author, date, title of article, newspaper, magazine, and the website. Again, we don't need retrieve from because they're the old rules, so we don't need those. So you can see at the bottom here, Daniel Johnson was the author, 2014, October 10th. Now we put that in there because it's a newspaper and because that's the exact date. Then we've got the title. Then we've got the publication in italics. Then we've got the page number. And then we've got the website. What's happened with this photo is we haven't got the name of the photographer, so it becomes a staff photo. So then it gets credited to the person who wrote the story, which is Daniel Johnson. Okay, so we've got Johnson D, 2014, October 10th, Blunders That Made Mr. Weirdo Unelectable. And then we've got the publication in italics and P14. Citing secondary sources. My advice is don't use them. Try not to use them, but if you really must, then look at this one. Seidenberg and McClelland study, as cited in Reed 2007, found that the paranormal blah, 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 blah. You acknowledge Seidenberg and McClelland in the text, but you cite Reed because that's your source. That's where you found it from, all right? And his study is the study of multiple paranormal phenomena and the Journal of Abnormal Psychology. And then you've got the rest of it down there as well. Okay, so make sure the place that you got it from is the place that you cite and reference. Of course, if you have any doubts about anything to do with citing and referencing, go to websites, or if failing that, give me a shout and I'll see what I can do. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click the dingy bell so that you're notified every time we drop a new video. Thanks for listening, thanks for watching, see you soon.